At some point, probably a whole lot sooner than later as a freight broker, you'll hear a question that sounds like this from one of your carriers. He'll say, "What about detention?" And what do you say? Do you have a detention policy? Does your shipper have a detention policy? Do you know the guidelines and how a carrier would qualify for detention? These questions we'll discuss today on Quick Tip Monday, so stay tuned. Before we get started, let's get a few housekeeping issues out of the way. I would greatly appreciate it that if you would hit that like button, make the like button turn blue. It does a whole lot for my channel, helps me to get seen by a larger viewing audience. I certainly would appreciate that. Also, if you want more videos like this, hit that subscribe button and then hit that notification bell and you'll be notified every time I release new videos. So now let's get into the business. So to ensure that we're on the same sheet of music, let's start off by talking about what detention is. And detention is when a carrier is being held at a facility for an excessive period of time. Let's just say, for an example, the carrier had an appointment for 8 a.m. for a pickup, and he's on time for his pickup appointment. Now it's 11 a.m., 3 hours later, and the carrier has still not been uploaded. So now, by definition, by our policy, the carrier is in what we call detention. And when a carrier is in detention, through no fault of his own, he's on time for his pickup appointment, he wasn't late, so he doesn't have any fault in why he's being detained. So now he's due what we call detention pay, which is an accessorial charge. And we have to make sure that he gets paid. Here's why detention pay is important in my opinion. You're in the business of building relationships with carriers. As a non-asset freight broker, you don't have any trucks. You depend on small business people who have trucks. So one of the things that you must understand is that carriers, when their wheels are not turning, they're not making money. So if they're being detained for excessive periods of time, that's going to start to be a headache, even with detention. But certainly without detention, if they're not getting paid detention pay, that's going to be a problem. So it's going to start to affect your relationships with carriers wanting to go into certain places because they already know, hey, that there's been some problems with detention there. So that's a part of what you want to do as well. You want to be able to work with those people to get carriers in and out. That's a part of your responsibility. But certainly when they don't get in and out, you want to make sure that you compensate them through the detention pay. Do you have a detention policy in place? If you don't have one, hopefully by now you've realized the importance of getting on top of your detention policy. And if you want to get on top of it, probably a very good place to start is simply sending your shipper over an email and requesting the detention policy, or shooting them a call, giving them a call and just asking, hey, what is the detention policy? They can probably explain it to you and then send it over to you in writing. But it's very important that you have a copy of the shipper's detention policy so that you can base your own detention policy. Because detention policies help to maintain healthy relationships between the freight broker, the carrier, and the shipper. So quick summary of what we just covered as it pertains to detention. We covered what is it, why it's important, how does it work, and how do you get your policy established. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope this information has been helpful. I would like to leave you with this. Knowledge in and of itself is not power. Applied knowledge is definitely powerful. So if you take the information, you take the knowledge that you are currently receiving from whatever your sources are, and you start to apply that knowledge, then you see the power in the knowledge that you are gathering. And if you want to learn more about the freight broker business, I'll leave a link in the description where you can sign up for my free 5-video series titled How the Load Movement Process Works. And then if you're interested in learning how I get freight on demand without having to call shippers and ask for freight, how I can just access that freight at any time, check out my video on the TMS. Until the next time, see you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.